Hi everyone and welcome to Basically Watches. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Oswin and welcome to the channel. I created this channel to share my love and passion for watches. I've been collecting watches since I was a teenager and absolutely love the hobby. My goal for this channel is to create a highly engaged community of watch enthusiasts where we can share our love and passion for watches and more specifically focus on affordable, high quality timepieces. So if this is something that resonates with you, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Now today I've got a really exciting review in store for you, and that is the Seiko Street Fighter Edition Ryu model, reference SRPF19K1. When I heard that Seiko was releasing the Street Fighter Edition, I was super excited. Because if you were like me and you grew up in the 90s, then you know Street Fighter was all the rage. I remember going to my friends' places or going to an arcade and playing Street Fighter all the time. Ken and Ryu were my favorite characters. So as soon as I heard about the release, I jumped on the internet and started looking everywhere. But much to my disappointment, they were pretty much sold out here in Australia. Fortunately for me, I was lucky enough that my wife gifted me one for my birthday, so I'm super excited to share this review with you. So without further ado, let's flip perspectives and look at the Seiko Street Fighter Edition, the Ryu model. So here is the box that the watch came in. As you can see, it's got a nice looking packaging, slightly different to the usual Seiko packaging. So I'll just quickly take that out. And as you can see, it's got the warranty instructions and the user manuals in there. I'll put that aside. And yeah, it's come in this beautiful presentation box that you can see. I like how Seiko have got through the effort of making it slightly different. And so if you can see that, it's got the Street Fighter logo beautifully embossed in there, and it says limited edition. So to form a side, and that's how the watch comes. Just take that out of the packaging. And here is the watch itself. A bit of history about Seiko 5. So the 5 is a reference to the attributes that any Seiko 5 watch would offer, and that is automatic winding, a day-date display, water resistance, a recessed crown at the 4 o'clock position, and a durable case. My first Seiko timepiece was a beautiful Seiko 5 from 1968. It was a nice gold cap watch that I ended up selling and miss to this date. So now that we've covered the history of Seiko and Seiko 5, let's jump into the review of this watch itself. So what do I like about this particular watch? I like the fact that Seiko have put in the time and effort to capture the true essence of Ryu's character. So if you look at the dial and the bezel, everything is designed and is inspired by Ryu's classic dogi, that's his judo uniform. The scratch-like marks on the bezel reflect the tough training required of Ryu to become a true fighter. And at the 9 o'clock position, if you can see there, it's a simplified version of the iconic Furin Kazan. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but these were basically the characters, the kanji characters on Ryu's gloves, which signify as swift as the wind, as gentle as the forest, as fierce as fire, and as unshakable as the mountain. If you look at the texture of the dial itself as well, it's beautifully captured to try and reflect and emulate that classic dogi that Ryu used to wear his judo uniform. So now looking at the case back, if you look at it, it's got a beautiful display case back. And you can see it's got that nice engraving on the back. Basically, the case back features the logo from Ryu's famous special move in the game, the Hadoken. Once again, apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. So basically, it's got the Street Fighter logo there. I hope you can see that, and it's got controller actions in there as well. This particular piece is limited to 9,999 pieces, so it is a limited edition. And yeah, it features the very robust Seiko Caliber 4R36 movement. It's got a very nice coin-edged bezel. I really like that bezel, the look of the bezel. And if you look at the strap itself, it's got a white canvas strap, once again trying to emulate Ryu's Dogi. And it's got a leather backing with that Seiko logo embossed there. That's the model number. And once again, it's got the kanji characters that were so integral to Ryu's character in the game. And it basically stands for wind, forest, fire, and mountain. Some people are not a fan of the white strap. I don't mind it, to be honest. I think it looks quite okay and it complements the watch beautifully. So jumping into the specs of the watch, it's got the Seiko Caliber 4R36 movement, like I mentioned earlier, which has a 41-hour power reserve. The case is made out of stainless steel. It's got a water resistance of 100 meters, which is very common to the Seiko 5 movements. Case size, it's got a diameter of 42.5 millimeters. It's got a thickness of 13.38 millimeters. Lug to lug is 46 millimeters. And it's got a lug width of 22 millimeters. As I mentioned, the strap is made out of canvas and a leather backing. The glass itself, it's made out of Hardlex crystal. And yeah, so that's the specs of the watch. In terms of what I don't like about it, well, couple of things. The bezel itself, it feels a bit stiff. It is a rotating bezel, but it does feel a bit stiff. I suppose, you know, at the price point that it was at, which is 675 Australian dollars, so give or take roughly about 550 US dollars. I would have expected the bezel action to be much smoother. Once again, it's a very minor thing. I'm not too fussed about it, but I would have expected it to have a smoother bezel action. It just feels very similar to the SKX bezel action. It doesn't have a screw-down crown, once again minor technicality. And yeah, the strap, there's a few complaints about that it's a very stiff, and I can show you that when I do the wrist shot preview as well. So that's what I don't like about it. It's got a hacking movement. So yeah, the crown was pulled out, so which is why it wasn't moving. But now you can see it. It's got a nice sweeping action there. It doesn't have a screw down crown. That's the only other thing. I would have expected a screw down crown at the price point that it was at. Once again, but again, minor technicality. It does have good water resistance, so it does serve the purpose. Let's see what it looks like on the wrist with this particular strap. So as you can see, that's how it sits on the wrist. Obviously, this one's really stiff, as per the complaints on the forum. But I'll try and give you a wrist preview. So it sits nice and comfortably on the wrist, beautifully. Well, sorry, not comfortably, but it sits nicely on the wrist. And I will throw in a couple of other wrist previews with some other straps, like a NATO strap and a rubber strap as well, to show you what that looks like. Here is a wrist preview of this watch and a brown vintage looking NATO strap that I had. So I'm just doing a quick wrist roll. As you can see, it looks quite nice on this vintage looking NATO strap. It does sit quite high because of the thickness, and also the NATO strap sort of tends to add to that. But yeah, overall, not a bad looking watch. It sits nice on the wrist, and I've got a 7.25 inch wrist. So quite happy with the way it looks and sits on the wrist. So here is a wrist preview on a Barton white rubber strap. As you can see, much slimmer profile strap, so it sits much lower on the wrist compared to the NATO strap. There is a slight variation between the dial color and the color of the strap itself, but I don't mind it too much. I think it works okay. So yeah, that's what it looks like, and wanted to show you on a slimmer profile strap. In terms of the loom, the hour hand, the minute hand, and the hour markers are all loomed. Here's a couple of loom shots to show you what that looks like. So that's pretty much it for the review, guys. I hope you really enjoyed that. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to smash that like button.
Do it. Do it.
Also, please don't forget to share your thoughts, comments, and feedback in the comment section below. It really does help with growing the channel, and I would love to know what your thoughts are on the Seiko Street Fighter series. Have you bought any yourself? Please do share your thoughts. What are your thoughts on it so far? If you bought one, would love to know. Till next time, bye for now.